My name's Ethan. I'm 25, living alone on the outskirts of Cincinnati, Ohio. I work at an auto repair shop, not exactly rolling in cash, but it's enough to cover the bills and keep my small apartment tidy. Life's pretty straightforward. Fix cars, blast classic rock, and occasionally text my best friend Jake, who moved to Kentucky 3 years ago. But last week, a call from Jake dragged me into a story I never saw coming. It started with his shaky voice. "Ethan, my mom's crying. She won't answer me. You're close by. Can you check on her?" I didn't think twice. I just knew I had to go. I grabbed my jacket, keys, and bolted out the door. That night, I found Jake's mom, Sarah, broken, curled up on her porch steps, eyes red, whispering, "Take me somewhere, Ethan. Anywhere." And so we hit the road, embarking on a journey with no destination, where boundaries were tested, but where we found light in the darkest moments. I drove through pitch-black roads, my headlights slicing through the night. Sarah sat beside me, silent, clutching a thin sweater. I glanced at her, searching for traces of the strong woman I once knew. Sarah, Jake's mom, was always warm, baking cookies whenever Jake and I hung out at their house back in high school. She used to laugh loudly, tell stories about camping trips with her husband, and hold her family together. But now she was a shadow, her eyes lost, her hair a tangled mess. "Sarah," I said softly, "are you okay?" She didn't answer right away, just shook her head, her voice choked. "He left me, Ethan. After 15 years, he said he wanted freedom. He's with someone else now." I gripped the steering wheel, searching for something comforting to say, but my throat went dry. What could possibly ease the pain of betrayal after all those years? I didn't know where to take Sarah, only that she couldn't stay in that house filled with painful memories. I drove through familiar roads, then veered onto a side path leading to Indian Lake, a quiet spot with sprawling grass and water shimmering under the moonlight. I parked, turned off the engine, and looked at her. "Want to step out and get some air?" Sarah nodded, opened the door, and stepped onto the damp grass barefoot. I followed, keeping my distance to give her space. She stood by the lake, the night breeze tugging at her hair, her voice trembling. "I gave him everything, Ethan. Time, love, forgiveness. I thought we were okay, but he said I wasn't enough, not young enough, not pretty enough." She turned to me, her eyes brimming with tears. "I feel invisible." I stepped closer, unsure of what to say. "You're not invisible, Sarah. You're an incredible woman. He's an idiot for not seeing that." She looked at me, her gaze a mix of pain and doubt. "You don't have to say that to make me feel better." "I'm not," I said. "I mean it. Jake's always been proud of you, and I've always thought you were special." The words slipped out before I could think, and I realized they were truer than I'd admitted to myself. Sarah gave a faint smile, the first of the night, and whispered, "Thank you, Ethan. You don't know how much that means." We stood there for a while, listening to the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. I suggested, "You don't have to go home tonight. We can find a place to crash, grab some food, give you a chance to regroup." Sarah hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, but just for tonight." I did a quick search on my phone and found a small inn 20 minutes away, nestled by a creek with balconies overlooking the woods. We got there and checked into a double room with 2 separate beds. The receptionist, an older woman, smiled. "Cute couple. Weekend getaway?" I fumbled. "No, just friends." Sarah didn't say anything, just took the key and walked ahead. In the room, Sarah sat on the bed, staring out the window. I ordered a pizza and 2 sodas from a nearby joint. When the food arrived, she only picked at a slice, but I didn't push. "Want to talk?" I asked. Sarah shook her head. "Number." "I just want my head to be quiet for a while." I nodded, pulling a chair near the window to give her space. But then she spoke, her voice soft. "Have you ever felt like you're not yourself anymore, Ethan?" I thought about it. "Yeah, When my dad walked out when I was 10, I kept thinking I did something wrong to make him leave me and my mom. Sarah looked at me, her gaze softening. You didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes people leave because of themselves, not us. I nodded, feeling an invisible thread connecting us. That night, two people on the other bed, listening to Sarah's steady breathing. Before I drifted off, I heard her whisper, "Thank you for coming, Ethan." I didn't reply, just smiled in the dark. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the curtains, illuminating Sarah's face. She was already up, sitting by the window with a coffee. "You snore like a chainsaw," she teased. I laughed. "Blame the stiff pillow." She smiled, looking more at ease than the night before. "I'm not ready to go back today," she said. "I know it's crazy, but I want to go somewhere, do something, to feel alive again." I nodded. "Then let's go." "Where to?" Sarah shrugged. "You pick. I trust you." We left the inn, got in the car, and headed south with no real plan. The radio played "Sweet Child of Mine" by Guns N' Roses, and Sarah surprised me by singing along, her voice raspy but full of feeling. "I used to love this band," she said. "Back in the day, my friends and I would sneak out to concerts." I grinned. "You were a rebel, huh?" "Oh, you have no idea," she winked. "I dyed my hair green, wore leather jackets, and drove my mom nuts." I tried to picture a young, rebellious Sarah, and found myself oddly captivated. Not romantically, but with admiration for someone who'd lived so fully, even if life had tried to break her. We stopped at Hocking Hills State Park, famous for its cliffs, waterfalls, and endless forests. The rain had just cleared, leaving the air damp and earthy. We picked a short trail, walking side by side, our shoes crunching on gravel. Sarah talked about the early days of her marriage, when she and her husband used to camp here. "He promised we'd come back," she said, a hint of bitterness in her voice. "But then work, kids, life, it all pulled us apart." I listened, letting her unload the weight of those memories. At the trail's end, we reached a small waterfall, water trickling over mossy rocks. Sarah kicked off her shoes, stepped into the icy stream, and laughed as it splashed around her. "Come on, Ethan," she called. I shook my head. "You're nuts. That water's freezing." But she bent down, splashed me, and I couldn't resist, kicking off my shoes and jumping in. The water was bone-chilling, but our laughter echoed through the woods. In that moment, Sarah seemed younger, her eyes bright, the pain from last night gone. We sat on a flat rock, drying our feet in the sun. Sarah gazed into the distance. "You know, Ethan, I'd forgotten what this feels like, to live, to be myself, not someone's wife or mother." I nodded. "You deserve that, Sarah, every day." She looked at me, her eyes deep, and said, "You remind me I can still feel joy, sadness, maybe even a little danger." Her words caught me off guard, a jolt running through me. There was something in her tone, her gaze, that hinted at a line I knew we shouldn't cross. But I didn't look away. That afternoon, we found a small cabin on the park's edge to spend the night. It wasn't fancy, just a rustic wooden cabin with a fireplace and 2 single beds. We ordered food from a local diner, fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and apple pie. While eating, Sarah pulled an old deck of cards from her purse. "Uno," she said, her voice playful. "You know Uno?" I teased. "Don't underestimate me, kid," she shot back, and we laughed, playing like kids, bickering loudly when I tried to cheat. The mood was light, warm, like we'd known each other forever. But as the firelight dimmed, the atmosphere shifted. Sarah looked at me, her gaze no longer playful, but intense, meaningful. "Ethan," she said, her voice low, "have you ever wanted to do something you know is wrong, just to feel alive?" My heart pounded. I knew what she meant, and I knew I was standing at a dangerous crossroads. "Yeah," I said, my voice hoarse. "But sometimes the wrong thing can hurt people." Sarah nodded, but her eyes stayed locked on mine. "I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want to feel like I exist, even for a moment. She stood, stepping closer. The space between us was mere inches. I could smell her faint perfume, feel her warmth. Every cell in my body screamed to move forward, but reason held me back. This was Jake's mom, a woman in pain, someone who needed my help, not my weakness. I stepped back, my voice shaky. "Sarah, we can't. Not like this." She looked at me, her eyes a mix of hurt and relief. "You're right," she whispered, "but thank you for making me feel wanted." She turned, went back to her bed, and I lay down, my heart still racing. Next morning, as we didn't leave the cabin, something unexpected happened. While folding Sarah's jacket, a small necklace slipped out, a heart-shaped pendant engraved with "Forever Tom," her husband's name. I picked it up, intending to hand it back, but Sarah saw it and froze. "Give me that," she said, her voice sharp. I handed her the necklace, and she clutched it, her eyes welling up. "He gave me this for our 10th anniversary," she said, her voice trembling. "He said he'd love me forever, and now he's out there with someone else." She stormed outside, heading toward the creek near the cabin. I followed, worried. In the early sunlight, I saw her standing by the water, arm raised, ready to throw the necklace away. "Sarah, don't!" I shouted. She spun around, tears streaming down her face. "Why not?" "It's a lie! It's all a lie!" I ran to her, grabbing her hand, holding the necklace. "I know it hurts, but throwing it away won't erase the past. You're stronger than that, Sarah. You don't need to destroy memories to move forward." She stared at me, her breathing heavy, then slowly lowered her hand, the necklace still in her grip. She sank to the creek's edge, sobbing, and I knelt beside her, wrapping my arms around her. "I don't know how to stop hurting," she whispered. "You don't have to stop hurting right now," I said. "You just have to keep going, and I'm here with you." In that moment, by the creek under the morning sun, I saw Sarah truly let go, not of the necklace, but of the pain's grip on her. She took my hand, whispering, "You don't know how much you've saved me, Ethan." I didn't reply, just squeezed her hand, feeling a connection deeper than anything I'd ever known. We stayed in Hocking Hills another day, not because we had plans, but because neither of us was ready to face reality yet. We hiked other trails, ate ice cream from a food truck near the park, and even tried karaoke at a local bar. Sarah belted out Bohemian Rhapsody with a confidence that got the whole place clapping. She laughed more, talked more, and I saw a new Sarah, not the Sarah of the past, not the broken Sarah, but a woman rediscovering herself. Our last night, we sat by the cabin's fireplace, sharing a soda and talking about silly things, favorite movies, disastrous first dates, dreams from our younger days. Sarah looked at me, her eyes gentle. "Ethan, you've reminded me I can still dream. I'd forgotten that for so long." I smiled. "You've reminded me that sometimes helping someone else helps you too." We didn't touch, didn't cross any lines, but our closeness was more real than any kiss. The next morning, we packed up and drove back to Cincinnati. The car was quiet, but not heavy. Sarah looked out the window, fingering the necklace but not wearing it. When we pulled up to her house, she didn't move right away. "I'm scared to go in there, Ethan," she said, "but I know I have to. And this time, I'm doing it for me." I nodded. "You're stronger than you know, and if you need me, I'm a phone call away." She smiled, took my hand one last time, and stepped out of the car. I watched her unlock the door, step inside, and close it behind her. I drove home, feeling like I'd lived a dream. A week later, I got a text from Sarah. "Thank you, Ethan. I just signed up for a painting class. For the first time in years, I feel like I can start over. See you somewhere, someday." I smiled, didn't reply right away, but knew we'd both been changed forever. Jake called a few days later, thanking me for helping his mom. I just said, "No big deal, man. She's okay." I didn't share the details, not out of shame, but because what happened between me and Sarah was ours, a story that didn't need explaining or judging. This story, for me, isn't just about helping Sarah through her pain. It's proof that even in our darkest days, when we feel lost, there's always a spark waiting, sometimes from a stranger, a friend, or a fleeting moment. That aimless journey taught me that you don't always need to know where you're going. You just need to take the first step. Sarah found her strength again, and I learned that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life. I want to hear from you, the folks watching this on The Cheater's Diary. Drop a comment and share a moment that changed you. Maybe a quick conversation, a hug, or a bold choice. Have you ever helped someone find their light or been pulled out of the dark by someone else? Your stories inspire us to keep sharing meaningful content. Hit that subscribe button now and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our heartfelt stories on The Cheater's Diary. We're building a community where people can share, connect, and heal through real experiences. And don't forget, share this video with a friend. They might need a little light too. Thank you for being here. Live with your heart wide open. Love fearlessly. And never stop searching for the best version of yourself. See you in the next video, and together, let's keep writing stories that matter.